Good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome to the online video class session of political science, the fourth semester. So after summer vacation, I am welcoming you all to the online vacation. So my dear students, in the fourth semester, the paper fourth is exclusively deals about the constitution and the politics of India. So the constitution and the politics of India is the fourth semester curriculum. So here the entire paper is deals about the constitution and the politics. So here the before Indian independent politics and the various steps towards the frame of the constitution. So these are the things we need to discuss in detail about in this entire semester. So this the entire paper is categorized into 5 units. So each and every unit has its own subunits about the various concepts. So my dear students, I was prepared a PowerPoint presentation for your convenience. So here the PowerPoint presentation gives a kind of clarity, a kind of understanding with compared to the general teaching. So that is why I was prepared a PowerPoint presentation for your convenience. So let's get into the PowerPoint. So my dear students, so this is the paper fourth exclusively deals about the constitution and the politics of India. So and here myself, Dr. Maitri Ramulu, the faculty of Department of Political Science in TTWRDC, Karimnagar. And under my name, I was given my mail ID and as well as my contact number. If anybody have any queries, so please bring to my notice at any time. So I'm welcoming you all once again. So let us observe what are the issues were covered in this entire semester. So let us discuss or let us observe or let us study about, let us look over into the syllabus issues. What are the syllabus was covered? We are going to cover in this entire semester. So here, if we go in detail about the syllabus, so the entire syllabus of the paper fourth, the constitution and politics of India is divided into 5 units. The first unit is exclusively deals about the constitutional developments in India. So here the first unit is again categorized into 3 subunits. The first unit is exclusively deals about the brief nationalist movement, the brief overview of nationalist movement. So how the nationalist movement was started. And the second subunit is exclusively deals about the evolution of Indian constitution. So here the British government was brought various kinds of acts like 1909 Act, 1919 Act, and Government of India Act 1935. So these are the acts were the foundations of the Indian Constitution. And the third subunit is exclusively deals about the philosophical foundations of the Indian Constitution, like liberal philosophical foundations, Gandhian philosophical foundations, and socialist philosophical foundations. The second unit is deals about the institutional framework. So, my dear students, here, if we study about the Indian government and politics, so there is central government and as well as state government. So, central government has its own organs like executive, legislature, and judiciary. So the government have their own organs. So the central government have their own organs like executive, legislature, and judiciary. At the same time, the state government have also executive, legislature, and judiciary. So these are the things we need to discuss in detail. So the second unit is exclusively deals about the institutional framework. Here we will discuss 2 institutions, the one at central and another one is at state level. And the third unit is about the federal politics. So here in the federal politics, we will discuss about the relations between the central government and as well as the state government. So the relations in the sense of the legislative relations, the administrative relations, and the financial relations. So these are the relations we will discuss in detail about in this federal politics. And there were the recent trends were taken place in the center and state relations. So that is also we need to discuss in detail. Then The unit fourth is exclusively deals about the electoral politics of India. So here the India is following the multi-party system. There are various kinds of parties in India. So there are national parties and regional parties. So here we will discuss about exclusively about the political parties in India. So the political parties in India, if we categorize them, there are national parties and there were regional parties. So like Indian National Congress, BJP, CPM, BSP, these are the national parties. And whereas the local parties like AMK, DMK, AIDMK, TDP, TRS, YSRCP. So these are the regional parties. So we will discuss in detail about the national parties as well as the regional parties. And there are various kinds of recent trends in the Indian political system or Indian political party system. So that is also we need to discuss. And there were autonomous body at the Election Commission of India. It is an autonomous body. It has its own functions. So we will see what kind of functions were led by or what kind of functions were taken by the Election Commission of India. So these are the things we will need to discuss in detail in under the electoral politics of India as fourth units. And finally, the issues of Indian politics. So since from the beginning, India got independence in 1947. So since from the beginning, today 2021. So in the 75 years of independence, approximately. So there are various issues were there in Indian politics, like secularism, communalism, caste, gender, so minorities. So these are the issues were there. So we will need to discuss about various issues like what is the secularism. There are various kinds of debates on secularism and majority of communalism. So here, if we go to in details about the census reports, the India is majority of Indians are Hindus, and the minorities are Muslim minorities. Like there are some kind of religious minorities like Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists. So like this, the secularism and the casteism and the gender. So these are the things we need to discuss in detail under the issues of Indian politics in a fifth unit. So my dear students, this is a brief syllabus of the fourth semester, the Constitution and Politics of India. So let's get into the first unit. The first unit is exclusively deals about the constitutional development. So again, I already told you that again we need to various issues under the first unit. So there are three subunits under the first unit. The first subunit is the brief overview of nationalist movement. So here, before India's independence, the Indian national movement was led by freedom fighters against the British rule. So what is the reason behind the Indian national movement? So these are the things we need to discuss. So there is a relation between the Indian national movement and the constitutional framework. So that is why the history of Indian constitution has begun with the entry of British East India Company in India at the time of 16th century. So the British East India Company came to India with the name of trade. So to continue the trade relations with India. So the Mughal emperors was given permission at the time to continue the trade relations with India. At the time, the Queen Elizabeth I was authorized this company to continue the trade with India. Actually, initially, the Britishers were opposed to continue the trade in India. But later on, after some time, the second time, the Britishers came again to India and requested about the trade policies. And the Britishers were mobilized the Indian rulers or the Mughal rulers, and the Mughal rulers were accepted and given permission to continue the trade with India. So at that time, the Queen Elizabeth I was there as a king in the British government. So in the course of time, the British East India Company was influenced and controlled all the commercial and political administrative affairs of Indian provinces. So they were followed a kind of despotic methods. So here, with the despotic methods, the British East India Company was captured slowly all the administrative affairs of the local rulers of India or the princely rulers of India. So when the British East India Company was captured the power or hand over the power from the local rulers or princely rulers of India, but it has followed some despotic methods. When the policy affairs of British East India Company became controversial, then the British government was entered or look over the political affairs of the British East India Company. And the British government was appointed various officials to look over the Indian administration process. So they were appointed some governors, governor generals, and viceroys. So these governors, governor generals, and viceroys was ruled India in a systematic manner according to the guidelines of the British government or British Parliament. So the British rule in India is began in 1858 and ended in 1947. So approximately 200 years were ruled India by the Britishers. So there are various reasons in the emergence of Indian national movement. Actually, the Indian national movement was started by the Indian freedom fighters against the British rule. Actually, the British East India Company was came to India with the name of trade. Okay, but what happened later? The British East India Company was captured the political and administrative affairs of the local rulers or the princely rulers, and they were dominated socially, economically, politically. They are completely hand over the dominance of India, or they are completely hand over the administrative affairs of India. So that is why the Indian freedom fighters were tries to lead a movement against the British rule. So Indian national movement is one of the largest struggle which is organized by the freedom fighters. So there are various reasons behind the Indian national movement. So there are various reasons. Approximately 8 reasons were given for your convenience or for your clear understanding. So there are n number of reasons, but we are not giving all the hundreds and thousands of reasons, but all the reasons are clubbed and prepared a systematic headlines. So the first reason is the British colonial rule. The second is the Great Revolt, which is taken place in 1857, and the British English education policies and the impact of newspapers. So newspapers have played an important role in the Indian national movement, the socio-religious reforms, reformative movements, and the acute economic situation of those days. And finally, the emergence of Indian National Congress. So these are the various reasons behind the Indian national movement. So let us discuss about these reasons in detail. Okay. So let's go into the first reason, the British colonial rule. Actually, the Britishers came to India with the name of trade. Okay. But the British colonial rule is one of the important cause of nationalism among the Indians. So they came here with the name of trade, but they captured the power, political power. So that is not good. So that is why the Indian people were tries to led a movement against the British rule. So here the British colonial rule was one of the main important cause behind the Indian national movement. So the British rulers were developed communications, various communications like roads, railways, press, postal departments, telegraphs, and industries. So these all were developed for their convenience, for not for the sake of Indians, but they are developed these kind of communication developments for their own benefit. For example, they are started the roads, the Grand Trunk Road from Calcutta to uh, Peshawar. So, like the railway facilities also brought by the Britishers. So, Mumbai to Thane, the first railway line. So, like this, they are started various kinds of development activities, uh, various kinds of communication developments for their own benefit. But the Indian freedom fighters, the Indian national movement of freedom fighters were properly utilized or properly availed these facilities to strengthen the Indian national movement at grassroots level. And the Indian freedom fighters were mobilized about the exploitative policies of the British rule. So here what happened when the British rule is developed some kind of development activities, the Indian freedom fighters were utilized that development or communication activities or communication facilities for their for for strengthen the Indian national movement at a grassroots level. So the tyrannical British rule brought a feeling of unity among the Indians. Actually, the Britishers were sometimes act, acted as cruelly. So that kind of the the that kind of the tyrannical British rule or that the cruel behavior of the British rulers is created a kind of the nationality feeling among the Indians, and they were united irrespective of their caste, class, and region. They are came into the one umbrella as an Indian. So they were started to thinking over the British dominance rules and British tyrannical policies or British exploitative policies, and they were become the Indians were become unity. The various Indian freedom fighters were mobilized the mass people with their own activity or with their own ways. So the second reason of the Indian national movement is the Great Revolt. Here, the exploitative policies of British rulers led the discontent among the Indians against the British government. Actually, the British government was brought various policies, but some policies are very exploitative policies. So, for example, the doctrine of lapse. So here, doctrine of lapse is it is in Telugu Rajya Sankramana Siddhantam. So, with the name of doctrine of lapse, the British government or the Lord Dalhousie, the Governor General of British, the Governor General of India was brought the doctrine of lapse. So, under this doctrine of lapse, the the local leaders or the local rulers were eliminated from their posts with the name of inefficiency. So the decision making is under the control of the British rulers. If a person is efficient or not to rule the princely state, so they are the decide kings and kingmakers. So that is why if a particular person is very efficient to rule the princely state, but under the doctrine of lapse, the British government or the British rulers were eliminated him from the that positions with the name of inefficiency. So these kind of activities were taken place in those days. So that is why the great rulers like Jhansi Lakshmi Bai, Nanaji Rao, Deshmukh, Tantia Tope, Mangal Pandey were opposed the despotic attitude of British government. And the discriminatory anti-religious policies of the British military officers against the Indians also one of the main reason about the Great Revolt. So at that time in the soldiers, the Hindus and Muslims two religion people were working under the British, but the British officials, military officials, brought various kinds of unnecessary policies. So these kind of policies were disturbed the military or separates soldiers. So the flame of Indian national movement gradually spread all the parts of India slowly and ignited the communal feeling among the Indians. So the Muslims were united and the Indians were united, and both are united and fight against the British. So like this, the Great Revolt is also one of the main reason in about main reason about the Indian national movement. The third reason is English education. So here English education is one of the main reason about the Indian national movement, because English medium education introduced in India on the recommendations of Lord Macaulay Committee. So before the invasion of Britishers in India, there was no English education in India. The only education is available to the allied people in India, that too in the Sanskrit. Only the Brahmins were availed the education to get education in India. But when the Britishers were came to India, they are introduced English education for the sake of their own benefits, for the sake of their employees' children's. So that helped to the common people of India. So that is why one of the social reformer, Rajaram Mohan Rai, was usually used to say that the British rule is gift to the Indians, because they are introduced English education to the India. So by getting English education, some of the elite people of the of those days of India, they got English education through this English education policy, and they went to the England to learn English and to get proficiency in the English, and they were learned the Western literature. So they were studied Western literature and Western thinkers like Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Rousseau, Karl Marx, Thomas Paine. So like this, they were studied about the Western issues and Western thinkers and Western literature in English, and came to India back, and tries to mobilize the people, and tries to mobilize about the various concepts like liberty, equality, fraternity, independence, and democracy. So here the English education is directly or indirectly helpful to the Indians to strengthen the Indian national movement. So they communicated the concept of they communicated and the concepts like liberty, equality, and independence, and they were mobilized the importance of these concepts through their writings and their speeches and their practices. So this inspired the Indian masses, to participate in freedom struggle voluntarily. So what happened? The allied Indian people were got education, English education, and they were learned Western thinkers, and they were learned about the Western concepts, and that concepts were clearly explained to the mass people of India, and the mass people of India was actively participated in Indian national movements. So these are the English education is one of the main reason. Then the fourth reason is the impact of newspapers. So before independent India, at the time of Indian freedom fight or Indian national movement, there are approximately 650 newspapers were published in those days, approximately in 1887. So 650 newspapers were published in all over the India in national and regional languages. So these newspapers were enlightened the Indians about the British evil acts. So the Britishers were brought some kind of evil acts like doctrine of lapse. So that kind of evil acts was understood by the uh, common people through the media or newspapers. So nowadays there are various kinds of media like print media, electronic media, and social media. But in those days, only print media was availed to the common people. So the Indian national leaders like Bala Gangadhar Tilak, he was led the newspaper Kesari. So the Kesari was one of the main important newspaper which is led by the Bala Gangadhar Tilak in 1881. And at the same time, Surendranath Banerjee. So the Surendranath Banerjee also led one of the newspaper, the Bengali. So it was published in 1879 in from Bengal. And Kashinathu Nageswarrao Pantulu is one of the Telugu personality. So he was led Andhra Patrika. So it was started in 1908. And Motilal Nehru, the father of Jawaharlal Nehru, he was also led the newspaper The Independent. So here the Independent was one of the famous newspaper which is founded by the Motilal Nehru in 1919. So at the same time, Sushir Kumar Ghosh and Motilal Ghosh was led the Amrut Bazar. Amrut Bazar also one of the most important English newspaper in those days. And it was published in 1865 onwards. And G. Subramanian Iyer, the newspaper Hindu. Today we have also used to read the Hindu. So the Hindu also one of the most important newspaper. It is from 1878 onwards. It has been publishing daily. So these kind of newspapers were mobilized the mass people about the the evil acts of the British rule. And these newspapers started in all the provinces like Bengal, Bombay, and Madras provinces. In those days, the British government was created or formed provinces for their administrative conveniences. So these 650 newspapers were published all over the India in various regional languages and national languages. So these newspapers filled the nationalism feeling in India among the Indians at grassroots level. So today we used to read newspapers. We used to read news from print media, electronic media, and social media. But in those days, only one media, that is print media, was available. The print media was played a predominant role in the Indian national movement. So the newspapers also one of the main reasons to strengthen or to run the Indian national movement. And the economic exploitation is another one of the main reason behind the Indian national movement. So India became the safe-sighted place to the British rulers because the Britishers were starting put investments in India, and they were started exported the various raw materials from India to England. The British rule suppressed the growth of Indian cottage and village small scale industries in India. So by the invasion of the British rule or the British exploitative policies, the Indian cottage industries, village small scale industries were collapsed. So Lord Curzon's and Lord Lytton's exploitative policies were favored to the British investors in India. So they thought that the India is the safest place to the British rulers and the British government to invest. So and at the same time, the Governor General's policies also in favor to the British rulers. So these kind of activities are caused unity among the Indians and the industrialists and small scale industries and artisans. So this ignited a kind of idea about the unity and about the self rule. So that is why all the people attracted voluntarily towards the Indian freedom fight or Indian freedom movement. and they were participated in Indian freedom movement voluntarily. Then the another one is socio-religious reformers, socio-religious reformative movements. So many social and religious movements were got prominence in the uh, in India after the Great Revolt. So the Great Revolt, which is taken place in 1857. So after that, various social and religious movements were taken place. So like Ani Besant, Syed Ahmad Khan, Dadabhai Nauroji were organized way several social and religious reformative movements in India in those days. And the social reformer like Rajaram Mohan Rai, Kandupuri Veereselingam Pantulu Garu, Sarojini Naidu were also tried to root out the social evils like sati, one of the most important social evil of India, and the child marriages. In those days, the Hindu mythology is used to explain about the child marriage. In Manusmriti, Manu was uh, explained about the child marriage. But this kind of child marriage, the social evils was opposed by the Indians and as well as the British. So the educated, elite, educated people were opposed to these kind of social evils, and they have supported some progressive reforms like widow remarriages and women education. So before the invasion of India, a British invasion of India, there was no widows remarriages in India. The widows were not allowed to get remarriages, and the woman education is not permissible. The only Brahmins and only Brahmin men are allowed to get education. But with the British invasion, some of the educated elite Indians were supported the progressive reforms of British India. So these are the cause to the active participation of women in freedom movement. So the women also voluntarily came to the Indian national movement by their the supportive progressive movements or progressive policies. So these are the reasons. And the second, another reason is acute economic situation of those days. So in of those days, the several famines were taken place or occurred during the British rule, like natural calamities. At the same time, the British rulers collecting taxes through coercive methods instead of helping them who are affected by the natural calamities. They are not bothered about the common people. They are trying to collect the taxes by coercive methods. The people were suffering by the natural calamities. At the same time, the people were suffered by the British government policies. So that is why they were brought into the poverty. So the British government preserving interest of affluent sections rather than the common people. The allied people were taken help from the British government, but whereas the majority of the common people were suffered by the natural calamities and at the same time British government. So the utter poverty and unemployment was taken place. So the utter poverty and unemployment and repression is caused to the unity among the Indians towards the freedom movement. So the universal feeling of Swadeshi and self-rule, the consciousness is grown day by day among the Indians. So that is why all the sections of the India were actively participated in the Indian national movement. Finally, the emergence of Indian National Congress. Here, the Indian National Congress is one of the organization which is started by the various people in 1885. So at the time of its starting, it was started by the 72 delegates in Bombay. So the founders of the Indian National Congress was A.O. Hume, W.C. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Badruddin Tyabji, M.G. Ranade, Dadabhai Nauroji, Firoz Shah Mahota. So these are the moderate political, moderate freedom fighters. So they were started. The main objective of the Indian National Congress is to bring the problems of Indians to the notice of the British government. So they were followed their own method. They were followed. The moderates were followed their own methods. The uh, petition, prayer, and protest. So like that, they have followed their own methods. So that is why they were started the Indian National Congress to bring the Indian problems to the notice of British. And later on, the Indian National Congress was played a crucial role in Indian national movement until the independence. And after independence, it became the one of the national political party. And even today, the Indian National Congress is one of the familiar Indian national political party or national political party. So the Indian National Congress is played important role in the Indian national movement. So it declared as the Swaraj is the ultimate goal and strive it. The Indian National Congress was put an ultimate goal, that is Swaraj. So for that Swaraj, the Indian people were strived to achieve the Swaraj. So irrespective of their caste, class, region, and religion, all are actively participated in the Indian national movement with the support of Indian National Congress. So this is about the brief introduction about the brief review of the nationalist movement. So my dear students, there is a possibility to ask a question. Please don't ignore. So the question may be asked like, write the various reasons for Indian national movement. So then we have to write all these 8 reasons, including introduction and if possible conclusion. So it will give a good marks. It is one of the long question. It is one of the important question. So please write down the note. So if anybody have any queries, so please bring to my notice, my dear students. So here I am going to conclude the session. So in next class, we will discuss about the various phases of Indian national movement. So there are various phases like moderate phase, extremist phase, and Gandhian phase. So let us discuss in detail about in next class about the phases of Indian national movement. So my dear students, take care. Bye.